5 years ago, I watched this guy, Brian Bailey. He works in Ottawa. He's a physician. He got referral from 11, they call them CHCs, Community Health Centers in Ottawa. So they sent all the most challenging patients to this guy, Brian Bailey, Dr. Bailey. And I saw him do this work. I was watching him do it. He did it differently though. He did it with music, right? So when I studied what he was doing, he told me he learned it from this Michael Smith. Michael Smith, the psychiatrist who did the work in the origin of the research work. He created what's called the NADA protocol. The NADA protocol required no music. So Brian Bailey did it with music. So I did a while with music, but then I do it without it. And the reason I don't do it with music now is because I feel like sometimes music will like direct you into a certain groove. Like in a group like this, it's very hard to stay away from a music that is not in somebody's heart, somebody's memory. So I find it's better if you just leave it wide open. You know, let the birds show up with the singing when he wants to, or the truck pull up. We want to create a very non-artificial, very almost like random sound sources, so that you can observe yourself what happens to you when you are triggered by those sound sensations. Because what happens, music, sometimes people will develop either like an aversion to one or attachment to one. And then it becomes, because I find that it's not quite as random. We're simulating randomness in life. So here you basically show up. You don't really have, you have no idea what to expect. You don't know what sound's going to show up during this next 35 minutes. And then you can see yourself. You can see your response to it. See how it changes your inner experience. So that's why I stopped using music. One lady came for quite many sessions, and one day, that's when I was used to playing music. One day, my equipment failed. The music stopped, I didn't know. And then everybody who was so attached to the music found it so intolerable. Except this one woman said to me afterwards, well, that was the best session ever. It's like the music was actually keeping her from a certain experience. Because when she was very young, one of her parents was a classical guitarist. The music was like something that she had to do. She didn't really enjoy. It was a problem for her. So I decided to go back to what Michael Smith was doing. See, Michael Smith would not talk, would not stick to music. He would say, no music. So that's.
Oh, thank you for that answer.
You don't get short answers from me.
That's okay. I didn't even realize that there was no music. And I remembered, oh yeah, I used to do music.
So some people will have very, very certain set of experiences with the music.
For
And
sure.
they'll come back, they always want that music. In fact, some people want to have their own music, you see? But that kind of defeats the purpose of this whole process.
Although, some people, when they have their issues with sounds and noise, some of those songs, we had like birds screaming, like it'd be interesting to see their reaction to sitting there for 40 minutes with that.
Just
So, used to be 60 minutes?
what's that?
Wasn't it 60 minutes at one time?
Yeah. So now the protocol is 40 minutes, 45 minutes. Okay. So usually by the time we're done here, I think you guys are pretty close to 40 minutes, if not 45 minutes. And it gets longer sometimes. It's not by intention.
No wonder why I felt like it was shorter. Because it was.
So now the flu season is here, so this morning I had to give him all the flu shots. Wow, you did it all fast. Thanks. This is great. Okay, let me just go over the instructions. So if you're brand new to this session, you're most welcome. So coming to this session with not knowing what it is, the less you know sometimes is the better. Because here we ask you to follow a very simple instruction, which is no instruction. Unusual, right? So let me just explain that. So having no instruction, first of all, it means that you cannot get it wrong. Okay? So there's nothing to do except just sit here with your eyes closed and just observe what's happening. It's kind of like if you're watching the clouds. There's no wrong way to watch the clouds. The clouds will show up. And then you might notice certain things that's still happening. Your body will continue to do things. Your kidney, your liver, everything will work. You may not be able to notice those things, but the certain parts of your body when it's doing things, you will notice. You will notice sensations and sounds. You might notice light even through your eyelids that's closed. You might notice something. So those are all sensory awareness. That's because your body is alive. It can sense things. It knows what's going on. And your body is producing chemistry on the inside. And all that is not, you're not responsible for it. Okay, that's not you doing it, it's your body doing it. So I'm just making it clear. So you're not getting it wrong just because your body, let's say your body wants to shift a little bit to be a little bit more comfortable. That's also okay, all right? But don't get up, don't move around too much, but keep your eyes closed the whole time. So that's for the body. And the second thing is for the breath. Let the breath do its breathing. So in this case, there's no need to control your breath whatsoever. Because some of you may have practiced, have been taught to breathe in a certain way in order to change certain things. So for the duration of this session, I just ask you to suspend that sort of breathing practice. Let your body do its own breathing because your body knows what to do. Just like when you're sleeping, the breathing happens anyways without your help. So just let the breath do the breath. So let the body do the body, let the breath do the breath. You haven't done anything so far. And then finally, your brain will continue to brain. So this is very interesting because you see, you will observe, even though your intention is to do nothing, your brain will continue to produce thoughts when your brain is braining. There's nothing you can do about that. Let's say you hear a little chirp of a bird. The brain is going to say, oh, that's a bird. And the thought will come up. Oh, somebody cleared their throat. You might have another thought. Oh, that's not you doing it. That's the brain doing it. I want to qualify that so that you don't think you're getting anything wrong either. So when your brain starts to produce thoughts, just let it be. And it's very important, 3 other things, right? You don't need to pray, just for the time being. But if you find yourself doing it, that's your brain braining. It's a pattern, right? Sometimes people are habituated to a certain pattern. That's okay too, if it happens. But just know that you don't need to do it. Okay? In the same way, you don't need to meditate. Whatever meditation might mean to you, you don't need to do it. So you're off the hook on that. So you can't get it wrong either. There's no right way or wrong way. If your brain just starts to do a certain pattern, meditation like mantras or focus on a certain thing, or chanting, the brain can do that, right? The brain can repeat certain words and so on. You don't have to do it. That's just the brain doing it. So if it should happen, just know that you don't need to. And if the brain's very busy, it's going through all sorts of stuff, let it be. Don't change anything, just observe this is so. And finally, you don't have to try to remember anything either. For people who's been here, sometimes they feel like there's a test afterwards. There's no test. It's just whatever you notice later. If you like to share, you're also welcome to share. But you don't have to try to remember anything in particular. And then finally, is just believe whatever comes up from now on during the session is exactly what you need to notice. So if the brain brains certain things, just trust that it's something that you need to notice, that's all, right? There's no right or wrong thing happening here. If your body, the body will do exactly what it needs to do to keep you functioning. So is your breath, and so is your brain. Just trust that possibility. This is so. So just sit here and just see what happens. So this is brand new session again, October 14th, 2023. Today is the day of the solar eclipse. So we'll be back soon.